Chapter 1. The air hostess smiled. "Welcome aboard, sir. Would you like a newspaper?" "Yes, please." Carl took the newspaper and looked at his ticket. "I'm in seat 5F. Where's that?" "It's near the front of the plane, sir. On the left, there. By the window." "I see. Thank you very much." Carl smiled back at the air hostess. She was young and pretty. "Just like my daughter," he thought. He put his bag under his seat and sat down. His friend Harold sat beside him. They watched the other passengers coming onto the plane. Harold looked at his watch. 9:30 p.m., he said. "Good. We're on time." Carl agreed. "And in 3 hours we'll be home," he said. "That's good. We've been away for a long time." "You'll be pleased to see your family, won't you, Harold?" Harold smiled. "Yes, I will. Have you seen this, sir?" He opened his bag and took out 2 small planes. "These are for my sons. I always bring something back for them." "How old are your sons?" Carl asked. 5 and almost 7. The older one has a birthday tomorrow." "He'll be very excited tonight, then." "Yes. I hope he gets some sleep." The plane took off. Carl watched the lights of the airport grow smaller below them. Then the plane flew above the clouds, and he could see the moon and the stars in the night sky. He lay back in his seat and closed his eyes. Chapter 2. Later he woke up. Harold was asleep. Carl looked at his watch. It was midnight. He called the air hostess. "Excuse me, what time do we arrive?" 11:30 p.m. local time, sir. That's about half an hour from now." "Thank you." Carl changed the time on his watch. "Anything else, sir?" "No, I don't think so. Oh, wait a minute. Could I have a cup of coffee, please?" "Yes, of course, sir." He watched her bring the coffee. "She walks like my daughter, too," he thought. "And she is very young. She looks nervous, not sure what to do." "How long have you been an air hostess?" he asked. She smiled. 3 months, sir," she said. "Do you like it?" "Yes, I love it. It's very exciting." She smiled nervously. "Will that be all, sir?" "Yes, thank you." "Have a nice flight." He drank the coffee and started to read his newspaper. When Harold woke up, Carl showed him a page in the paper. "Look, there you are," he said. He pointed to a picture. In the middle of the picture stood Carl himself, a short, thin man with grey hair, wearing a suit. Behind him on the left was Harold, a tall, strong young man, like a sportsman. Both men were smiling. "That's you and me outside the embassy," said Carl. "We're in the news again. You can show it to your sons. You're a famous man, Harold." Harold laughed. "You're the famous man, sir, not me," he said. "I'm just a police officer. It's my job to take care of you. That's a photo of you, not me." "Perhaps. But your children think that you're a famous man, I'm sure. Here, take it and show it to them." "Okay, thanks." Harold smiled and put the newspaper in his coat pocket. "I think I'll have a cup of coffee too." He called for the air hostess, but she did not come. Harold looked surprised. "What's the matter?" Carl asked. "The air hostess," Harold said. "She's sitting down talking to those two men." Carl looked up and saw the young air hostess. She was sitting in a seat at the front of the plane with two young men. They looked worried and nervous. Suddenly, one of the young men picked up a bag and walked into the pilot's cabin. The other man and the air hostess followed him. "That's strange," said Carl. "What are they doing?" "I don't know. It's very strange," said Harold. "I don't like it at all." He began to get out of his seat, but then stopped and sat down again. For 1 or 2 minutes nothing happened. None of the other passengers moved or spoke. They had seen the young men too. It became very quiet in the plane. A bell rang, and for a moment they could hear 2 voices arguing. Then the pilot spoke. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is the captain speaking. Please do not be afraid. There is a change of plan. We have to land at another airport before we finish our journey. There's no danger. We will land in 15 minutes. Please stay in your seats and keep calm. Thank you." Then the air hostess came out of the cabin. She looked very different now because she had a machine gun in her hand. She stood at the front of the plane and watched the passengers carefully.